Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another Helm to Tower video.
Special
episode for you folks out there. We thought because we obviously super planned, big brain, with right in time with the Season of the Wish finale that is happening this same week that just passed. We thought as they closed the chapter on the seasons as we know them for Destiny 2, we would go back and basically do our own ranking and a tier list, essentially, of all the Destiny 2 seasons that we are going to have, because now seasons are ending with the final shape in just a few weeks, and then we're going to start doing episodes. You know, we don't know how that's going to go. We'll have to wait and see. I'm sure we're going to get probably some detail soon enough, but, you know, the seasons have more or less, like, ended. We got pretty much the finale story moment this season for Season of the Wish. We might talk about it a little bit later, so we'll give spoiler warnings since it is like the same week or whatever, but, you know, since we're talking about seasons as a whole, we'll probably get into all kinds of story stuff and all kinds of other things. I'm of course Mike Burgess, Ari and Cam, the trio that is Helm to Tower podcast. We're all here, of course, to give our final Helm to Tower official season ranked tier list here for y'all. So we're just basically go in order from basically Destiny 2 starting, and then we're gonna go through, like, obviously some of that content wasn't seasonal, so but we'll just give, you know, brief thoughts and kind of throw it in there because why not? And then once we'll get into proper seasons, we'll do that thing. So I mean, I'm ready if y'all are.
Let's do it.
To get to ranking. Give me some thoughts on the Destiny 2 launch, Red War campaign, the Leviathan raid. Good, very good. One of my favorite personal raids, in general. But obviously, it was a very different game. It's like hard to even think back of these days in 2017. Yeah. A lot of different places in our lives and in this game, dramatically different. You know. So
like at the time, I had never played D1. I jumped in because all of my friends were just like, "You gotta check this, dude. You gotta check this out, man." And so I'm like, "All right, cool. Here's $60, Bungie." And I had a really good time with like vanilla D2, and then I think, like a lot of other people, I just kind of ran out of stuff to do and then quit. But I like knowing how like the game has progressed now is really interesting. Because like back then, a lot of people were like, "Man, like it sucks that it's missing like this, and this like from the original game." And now I'm just like, "Wow, I can't believe that like D2 vanilla is missing like this, and this from the like from what we have now." So like it's a very similar kind of a thing.
For sure.
I mean, I thought it was fine. I wish the Red War was still in the game. I really do. I think that would be like, it's weird that thing that is like so fundamentally important to this game isn't at least like part of the like timeline echoes thing that they rolled out recently, you know? But.
Yeah. I definitely agree. There's like definitely a lot of bits and pieces and things that I remember fondly of that original Red War campaign, and like I have very similar story of like I did not play D1 at all. I didn't even own like a PlayStation 4 when Destiny was a thing. I didn't really have it till like a little bit later, and then actually started playing Destiny 2 originally on PC when it first came to PC, and like didn't really have people to play with. It was just one of those things where it's like, oh, I have a thing that can play this now. And I always hear people talking about it, and people seem like this is like a better version of that game. And I like those Halo games. They were cool back in the day, so I just jumped in and started playing it. And yeah, I had a similar experience. Really liked the campaign, liked all the... That really was that first experience of like, you know, playing Destiny and really enjoying it. And I did not have really the connections with original D1, so I was not really sitting here in the similar mindset of some people where it's like, oh, I missed this, or I can't believe they did this. Why did they do this? And go back on this, blah blah blah, and be in that mindset. I'm just like, I don't know. I'm a hunter, and I got a cool lightning staff. Yep. This is sick, and that was kind of my mindset at the time. And like, I never really got to see the other end of Destiny with like raids and stuff because I didn't really have people to play with at that time. So like, it was just kind of like a. Like
I didn't do Leviathan until way later.
Yeah, same. Yeah. And like, I kind of just moved on. I had that similar moment where just like, I think I played up until the next part. We'll talk about Curse of Osiris, and like, it's kind of supposed to be this big first content update. I remember playing through the story of that and just being like, okay, that was kind of it. And then, that's kind of when I dropped off pretty hard from Destiny 2 Year 1. So that was kind of my collection with it. But like, yeah, I have fond memories of that Red War campaign, and now since then have done the Leviathan raid a handful of times, and that was in like much later into the Destiny 2 lifespan. But I have now have very fond memories of that raid as well. So I like Destiny 2 early on those vibes still I have fond memories of. So
what about you, Ari? Where are you at?
So I did play Destiny 1. I came in at Taken King, right? And I played through Vanilla D1 and then Taken King, and I played Rise of Iron when that came out as well. Like, I became a fan at that point, and I think there was like a lot of really healthy changes that happened in Taken King, right? Like, that's in Vanilla Destiny 1, right? You only had 2 subclasses.
Yeah.
For each class, and then goddamn, the balloons are back. And then in Taken King, they added the Sunbracers for Titans, Arcstrider Stormcaller for Warlock, and Void for Hunter, which is crazy to think of, like Hunter without Voidstalker,
right?
Or Nightstalker.
Yeah.
So. It's weird because obviously all that was in D2 vanilla at base, but like, you get it throughout the campaign. It's all delivered differently. I remember at the time really liking D2 because it was designed in a way to be played how I was playing Destiny 1, right? Of like, I come in, I do the campaign, I try and get the cool things that I can get. But there was a lot of stuff gated behind like these really complicated quests that had virtually no instruction in game. That stuff like Touch of Malice and even just getting to King's Fall and doing that raid and Vault of Glass and like leveling up and everything was so much more complicated. And they really just streamline it. Like you just level up and it's like you went up to like level 20. Was that how it worked in?
Yeah. You had.
Yeah, it was level 20. Levels happened. That's right.
Pre-power level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, completely different video game than what we play nowadays, and that changed pretty quickly. I'm pretty sure power came to in Forsaken, but yeah, it was very weird. It was definitely made to be played in that like you do everything and then you're done. But like, and I loved the campaign. I loved the very MMO. I think they like for real nailed that feeling of like going to a new destination, meeting the person there, and doing stuff there for a little while, and doing a big mission to kind of cap it off, or a strike or something, and then going to the next destination. Right, that stuff was cool. It was like way more production value than even Taken King had. From D1 of like cutscenes and character growth, and like Cade, Ikora, and Zavala have these great arcs that kind of happen throughout that campaign. But yeah, then it's over. And I solicited people, before basically our Last Wish team, Mike, that you were a part of, that became our raid group that we still have today. I would just ask people like on Twitter and whatnot if they wanted to raid, and got a group together for Leviathan and ran that like 16 hours over the course of one weekend, just like chipping away until we finally beat it.
One thing that I do want to put, because we're talking, I do love Leviathan a lot. One thing I do want to also make sure I do shout out. is that I do think of all of the like intro fly-ins for every raid, the Leviathans one is still undefeated.
Yeah,
it's the best
it's
one
so
still.
good. It's so good. The whole vibe of that raid is still
It's
like one of the best.
incredible. It's
great.
One of the,
Yeah.
It's still a top tier one for me.
Yeah.
It's so immersive, and especially like you play in the Red War and you have Gaul as the villain, and you get this whole side of the Cabal. Like the cool thing, or some of the coolest things in Destiny, are the different factions within the enemy factions.
Yeah.
And we have like a lot more of that now, like Scorn and Fallen, or even just like the like Stasis Fallen versus like fighting other Fallen. And yeah, like having this whole different take on Cabal and this kind of glorious golden palace.
So do we want to, I know we talked about this a little bit before the recording, but like, do we want to, are we just doing like traditional seasons? Or are we just like, are we just like talking about them and just kind of moving on? Or are we wanting to like actually like put these on the tier list? Because I'm fine with either.
I feel like Red War makes sense.
Yeah, I was gonna say like I would say like, you know, we could put the Destiny 2 baseline on it, and then like Curse of Osiris, Warmind, like I was gonna kind of say like when we moved on to those, like we can just lump that discussion together more or less, because like everybody's like
kind of treated as the same thing in game now too.
At this point, and like I mean I think it's pretty simple, right? Like I dropped off in the sense like Cam, you dropped off there as well. I'm assuming we kind of all had that similar moment around Curse of Osiris where it was just like, okay, that was okay, and then I kind of dropped off pretty hard, and then
Curse of Osiris was the point where I'm like, all right, cool. And then
so like
I didn't come back until way later. So
yeah,
I played the campaign for Warmind, but yeah, I didn't do any of like, I didn't do Whisper, I didn't do Escalation Protocol. I really didn't touch those things.
Yeah, I would say like I played a little bit of Warmind stuff like once like Forsaken had like kind of been more properly announced, and they kind of talked about a lot of the changes coming in Forsaken that were like, oh, this sounds pretty cool. That was like the moment where I went and played Warmind and like liked Warmind. But
it is very funny that there have been now like 2 seasons specifically on the Warmind, like 2 capital S seasons, and I think they are better at doing that than a full paid expansion was. So
yeah, I think that's definitely where I'm sitting too. Where like
I didn't dislike Warmind. I thought it was better than Curse of Osiris, but
so
yeah,
I don't know,
I agree with this placement, Mike. Basically,
yeah,
I do too. I think
kind of threw them in that order.
I still feel like a little bummed that they fucking put a worm god in a strike. Like that just was a weird choice to me. You know?
Yeah, with like no mechanics at all, right? It just you just shoot it, and then you get a spear. At some point.
especially because like they positioned Zol in a lot of different like lore and stuff, right? Like I don't to be like a bigger deal, and like worm gods like are a big deal, and then it's just like one of the it's probably like I feel like obviously with Destiny 2 vanilla was a different time, but like even in that respect it was like one of the easiest strike bosses I feel like there ever was. Yeah, because you could just like go in and like, especially by the time like I got to Arrivals and played that strike a lot more in that time, it was just like, oh my god, this boss is just like the easiest thing I've ever done, because you're just like, it's so easy to take down, and it's supposed to be this like really big dramatic moment, but it just kind of falls flat.
So these next 3 I don't have opinions on, because I was not here for whenever they were the new thing out. So whenever I left like pretty much like towards the end of Curse of Osiris ish, I didn't come back until I think like maybe halfway through Season of Opulence.
I didn't come back until like Season of the Hunt. Regularly, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I was gonna say like I remember I played a bunch of Forsaken and a little bit of Black Armory when it came out. And then had a similar
Forsaken,
move on.
I played a ton of.
Yeah, we played a lot of Forsaken for sure. And then I probably didn't play Destiny again till Shadowkeep / Undying. And then I came back in Arrivals. And Season of Arrivals is like when I truly like really got whole hog deep throated this game. I'm just gonna say it. And just like I went back and like played a lot of this stuff. Like I went back and played a lot more of the Black Armory stuff. I went in the season of Opulence, played Opulence. A lot of the seasonal stuff during that period. So like Dawn and Worthy, I like just didn't see at all pretty much because of like remember those seasons were like the ones where they like did like a Fortnite style thing where it's like this season's here for 3 months and then it's just gone, and that's where they did that the first time, and it was like like oh wow, that was pretty bad. Turns out.
So I will say of those three, just going off of like pure, and like I know this is like our tier list, all that other stuff,
right?
Just going off of like pure vibes and like how people kind of like talk about these things in the past, like I think like Base Forsaken, or people call it like Season of the Outlaw, also whatever.
Right.
I think that stuff is really good. Like
Forsaken
secretly
is
just like having a
Forsaken's
second destination in it.
Really,
like,
really good.
Last Wish just exists. It's literally Last Wish. Like
it's excellent.
Yeah,
one of the best things they've ever made.
That's where I'm thinking.
I do miss the Tangled Shore. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah, I miss
the Tangled Shore.
I miss I miss it a little bit too. I do not miss those strikes, frankly, but I do.
Yeah.
Like as a destination, it was like it was a cool.
It was
spot.
just a good hangout destination. But that's kind of not what the game is anymore.
Yeah. The campaign, I will say, like I do miss. Like I thought the Forsaken campaign is like one of the best.
That was one that when they were taking out of the game, I was like, man, like come on, what are we doing here?
Yeah, for sure. Like that was a great campaign.
I don't love the Baron hunting portion of that.
Yeah,
which is a
I can see
big
that.
chunk of that. It's like a third of that campaign.
Mm-hmm.
But I do love that all this stuff happens and then you like continue, like there's a post-game campaign into the Dreaming City.
Yeah.
And just like, I mean, we get it now like all the time, so we're kind of spoiled, but like the Dreaming City, everything that was happening there, Ascendant challenges, the first dungeon, Shattered Throne, the way Last Wish worked, the way the city like changed and then reset every 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Like everything that was going on there.
I remember reading about that and being like, holy shit, they did what now?
Yeah.
Like,
when we were living awesome.
We played it. Yeah, it was playing during that time was really
I
cool
was
for
not
sure.
Playing at that point, I'm like, fuck man, do I need to do this? And then I didn't. But yeah.
It's still like that was like the moment where I could see me falling in love with Destiny. It wouldn't happen until Beyond Light, but like there was all the DNA was starting to, or at least ideas of them were starting to like be in the actual game itself.
Right. Yeah.
It's Forsaken's really.
I think an A placement
for the franchise.
A placement's pretty good. I would probably honestly put Black Armory in a similar case, just because like for me again, I didn't really play a lot during that, but when I went back to it, I really liked that activity. Like it was like a fun, frantic thing where you're throwing the bombs, the forges, the weapons. Of course, are classic and some of like the best in Destiny 2 history, in my opinion. I still talk about them because they were that good. They brought them back, some of them, and of course the Into the Light stuff that we're getting now.
And then the Niobe Labs thing.
Niobe Labs is really cool. We got Scourge of the Past raid. Also, was a really fun raid that came around that time.
I think the raid that I missed the most.
Like it's
the only one I did of like the mini raids, basically.
Yeah, It's a really solid raid. So yeah, like I think it's up there. Drifter, I'm gonna say, because that was like Reckoning and some other stuff. I didn't really touch that at all, so I don't know.
Gambit Prime, dude.
Yeah, Gambit Prime.
I never played Gambit Prime either.
I played a little bit of it. I never played with like the Reckoning or anything like that.
I know there's like some cool story things that happened because I know it's like when the 9 and stuff like that was like the only thing I really saw and was like, oh, okay, cool.
Drifter's backstory is cool.
Yeah, are you like aligned with like the Vanguard or the Drifter, which like is really
went
cool, but
nowhere.
I think that just kind of went nowhere.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
Because I remember a friend of mine who was like still playing at the time, keeping up with Destiny. They were like so excited about this and like just telling me like where they thought this was going to go like story wise, and I thought it sounded really cool. And then they just like okay, all right. Well,
there's clearly a pivot that happens.
I think that Season of the Drifter was neat, or at least the stuff in it.
Yeah.
I didn't play it whenever it was around. I thought it was neat. I don't know if it's like anything like hugely special.
Yeah, honestly, I
but
feel like I should just put it in didn't play enough because I feel
Sure.
like none of us really engage with it
throwback
enough.
to
and like
throwback
I'm
to
just
a
like,
time when people liked
I know.
Gambit, or at
yeah,
least liked
like
it
yeah,
more.
that was like that was like the brief time Gambit was like kind of enjoyed a little bit, and I know like I feel like whenever the Reckoning is brought up, people are really mixed on it as as an activity.
Yep.
So I just and I never played it, so I'll leave it there.
I think
Opulence,
that's fair.
I'm also gonna put up there because again, I liked
Opulence.
I liked Opulence too. I liked the going
I
back
think
to
that-
the Callus stuff and all that.
Yeah, I
was
think that
great.
it's one of those things that like I have a little bit of the same opinion about Season of Opulence as I do people talking about like their favorite like raids in T1 where they're just like, oh, it was like the best thing ever, like this was great. I'm like, they've done better things since then, you just didn't care.
right.
Like
Yeah,
I think obviously
For
like
sure.
Season of Opulence is like it's really good. Like the loot, I love the menagerie. Like Crown of Sorrow was
Crown of Sorrow,
fun.
very
Like,
cool raid, raid
I
later or
liked-
whatever it was.
yeah.
But yeah,
I liked a lot of that. I think there was like a really good tweet going around when Season of the Haunted came out, where people were just like, "Hey, all of you people who complain about them like reissuing a bunch of guns sure are pretty quiet now that they did it with your precious Opulence guns now, aren't they?"
yeah, pretty much.
I think that it is really good, and I don't think that we should like knock it points for just people not stopping talking about it. But I do think that a lot of the like diehard like Opulence was the best point in this game forever. Period. People,
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's definitely
are just like,
yeah.
hey, you should run the coil because it's better than anything in Opulence.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you in that sentiment of like it's people are definitely nostalgia tinted goggles and all that stuff with
like, I get
with
it.
opulent
It
with
ruled. It was
opulence,
great.
but yeah, I agree. Like I agree that like with that sentiment, but like I feel like at the same time, you know, I think there is some truth to like if Menagerie didn't come out and was like received super well, a lot of the things we have now gotten years after
Yes.
the fact, we have probably not like there's a potential like we've not seen some of the
There are-
activities that come
Yeah.
that were kind of built off of the ideas that Menagerie kind of kicked off. So
There are
I
so many
appreciate it a lot
activities
from that
that-
perspective.
Yeah, there are so many activities that have come out in the past like 2 years that are just Menagerie in a different location.
Yeah,
you know?
for sure.
Yep.
And that's fine. Mm-hmm. I think it's good.
Yeah,
It's a
and,
good
and I
activity.
think like,
The-
and I think just like obviously the activity, but I also think the idea of being able to like target specific loot and
Yes,
drops and
yes,
things
that was huge. That was
like,
awesome.
That was
Yeah.
like a thing that also Menagerie
Umbrals,
kind
right?
of. No, Umbrals
That was
was
pre-Umbrals. Umbrals
Arrivals,
were-
but this was
yeah, it
like
was Arrivals,
Menagerie was basically like you had like a chalice thing, and then
That's right,
then,
yeah.
then
Okay, I
when
do
you would
remember
complete them, you would get drops of things, and then you could slot them in to be like, hey, from this run, you're gonna get like these particular things and stuff like that, depending on how you slot stuff into the chalice or whatever for that run.
Whenever Zur would hang out on the Leviathan thing in Nessus instead of up in that tree where they have him now.
Yeah, they'd like move them and stuff.
Yeah,
But yeah,
It
that
set
was
the tempo for seasonal format.
absolutely.
You know?
exactly.
Yeah.
So I think
yeah,
I think it was worth it, and like we mentioned
I like
briefly,
Opulence quite a bit.
I think there are parts of the Crown of Star raid I don't necessarily like, but I think overall
Yeah.
is still like a good.
That
There's
final
some-
encounter whips ass. It's so
Yes,
good.
exactly. Like the
Yeah,
final
that fight
encounter
is
kind of
perfect.
makes up
Yeah.
for some of the less not cool stuff you have to do to get there.
The first encounter.
Yes, yes, 100%. But like that is still cool. So and some of the guns were cool too. So
I wish I
like
played
it.
it.
I like that stuff a lot. All right. Next up, I know this thing was like I was like weird thinking about where it's just like, oh yeah, they put some of the expansions on this tier list,
Yeah.
but then like just like skipped them. So I don't know why they're included in these seasons. Because here's Shadowkeep is on here.
Yeah, Shadowkeep and Undying are fundamentally the same thing. In my mind.
I would
Yeah.
agree there because like Shadowkeep obviously was like came out in the moment where like they had the weird transition to where Bungie went like independent.
Yep.
So they literally just like it felt
Actually, what got me back into the game, I was watching
yeah.
some trailer or like some like I think it was like around E3 because like right after some E3 show, they rolled right into just a Vidoc about Shadowkeep and how it was their first one that they had published independently. And that was their like enthusiasm was like so infectious that I literally went home that night and started playing Undying or not Undying, but Opulence. So and then here I am.
And it was definitely like a cool moment like for that company to like see them be able to spread out and do things. And obviously like they're very different now, of course, from many years ago where they are nowadays. But it was a cool moment, and like and obviously like I remember fondly that Dado stream where he straight up just talks about them, and there's still memes used from that stream today.
Yeah, him holding the piece of paper.
That's from that stream.
One of
and
the
it was
last
great.
times Luke Smith was on camera.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was like a cool like a moment. And I remember that being like exciting enough to get me to come back and play. And then I played a bunch, and then I played it, and I was just like, I was like, I would say Shadowkeep as the expansion itself was a little underwhelming. Undying stuff was like cool, kind of, but also I did not like.
Extremely tedious.
It was pretty tedious.
I think looking back, maybe unwarranted soft spot in my heart for Season of Undying.
The birth of the champions.
Yeah, that's when champions first became a thing.
The battle
they had battle passes came to the game,
it was the
free to
first
play.
Time that
cross save.
It was the first time that I was just like, okay, I am like. It was like battle passes at the time were like still pretty new. Like I'd like played a little Fortnite here and there.
Yeah, but, Overwatch was my I think
whenever they like brought that in, I'm like, oh, this is like super interesting. And like since then, I have like not any season I've played I've like completed fully. But I that was the season that like got me like back into the game in like a little bit of a tougher capacity. But I did burn myself out on it.
Yeah,
sure.
I still like hopefully until I get this fucking week 4 Pantheon clear, the title that I have on right now is Undying. Like I got that, like that was the first, like I was like, oh, I want to do this so I can like buy the seal, and I have like the seal back there hanging up and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But it was so tedious. Oh my god.
Yep. I tried to get that seal and I gave up.
Yeah, I was gonna say I was not in the seal chasing mode at that point.
It was definitely their first time doing that.
Yep.
I liked the Vex offensive well enough, but
so boring.
Running it like over and over again,
and
like
over
having
was
to get
a
like
lot.
hundreds of kills with like individual weapon types was just such a fucking slog. I remember having to, I think in order to like finish that seal, I had to like run a Master Nightfall back when those were like one of the hardest things to do in the game. And I remember just like slogging through, I think it was Savathun's song, just like slogging through it and just taking like damn near close to like 2 hours or so. And like I was still playing on console. Like this was still before I like learned how to like quote play the game, where I'm like, all right, double primary is totally fine. For stuff. And I was just like plonking down like bosses with like a scout rifle or something. But
yeah, for sure.
Like it burned me out so hard that I didn't play Season of Dawn or The Worthy. So
same.
Yeah, I think I had like a somewhat similar experience. Well, I think what it was for me is I remember at this point, like I had joined Irrational Passions. This was like actually back in Forsaken. You can if you sickos want to dig back into
watch us play.
Yeah, you can go
Shadowkeep.
You can go dig back into the Irrational Passions video archive, and there's a stream of me playing through the Forsaken campaign all the way back then, and then there's also us trying the Last Wish raid and also Forsaken
with the homies
or Shadowkeep, and then there's I think is us doing Garden on there? I don't think it is. It could be. I think we streamed it.
I remember being in the chat for you guys doing that, actually.
Yeah, we streamed it, but it was definitely that was like a burnout moment for me. We did not finish it.
So that's probably why it didn't get in the archive.
Yeah, because I think at the time, like again, I think that really did come down to what you just mentioned, Cam. Of like at that point in time, like I was like slightly familiar with Destiny stuff, but I was like, playing the same way. I'm just like
casual.
Yes, like it's just like I don't know. I just have this rocket. It's the highest power level thing I got. Let's get it, and then see how we do, and then like
lose, like,
and then like that was not the way to engage with
I
that kind of content. So that was kind of.
I think
Armor 2.0 also happened.
That's true.
Shadowkeep.
That is true.
Yeah.
I think as the person with the most love and respect for Season of the Undying, I think a D is where it belongs.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds right.
I'm gonna put both of them together, like you said, like Shadowkeep,
That's fine.
Undying.
Shout out to Garden of Salvation, though.
Yes,
shout out to
Garden of
Garden.
Shout out to Garden, baby. Garden.
podcast.
This is a Garden enjoyer. No Garden slander allowed on any Helm to Tower content. I will not allow it.
I did not play
one of the best
Season
Destiny 2
of
raids.
Dawn.
I got deleted a couple
Dawn
videos.
I didn't.
Hold on.
I think at Season of Dawn, I got my.
I remember playing
rank 2.
Yeah,
I played one Sundial with you, Mike, and then I never played it again.
I think I remember that. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. I like
People
checked in and
really look back fondly on that season. I found.
excuse me. Yeah,
we got the puzzle, right? The Saint 14
Right.
so there's the
puzzle.
Saint
Corridors of
14
Time.
puzzle.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
this felt like an like they got better with it in these. I didn't play Worthy either, but like looking back on some of the gameplay of those, like this is where they started figuring out how to like better tell like seasonal stories a little bit.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
I definitely could see why that would like started going people being like, oh, okay. Where I think obviously where we jumped in with like Hunt and Beyond Light and stuff, and me for Arrivals, like that's when they like really figured it out. But I feel like this is when they started like tinkering with ideas because there was like actual. I remember like watching videos and be like, oh, there's like actual story missions popping up in these seasons where like you go back in time and like find Saint like fighting off stuff and like in that sequence and you like and you like save them multiple times through these certain events to like get to the point where you bring them into current timeline Destiny or whatever. So that stuff like
Find your
looked
own grave. You
yeah,
know?
like that stuff like was all looked cool, but obviously I just was not like engaging or playing with Destiny. Something I will also shout out, like obviously Destiny 2, Bungie in general, like they make 10 out of 10 trailers for Destiny 2 across the board. Seasons of Dawn's trailer is like still hits today. You can go watch that right now and be like, holy shit,
I'll watch it after
this trailer fucking rips. Like it's one of the best trailers they've ever done. And it's like wild that it's like for like a season. Like I legitimately think it's like better than some of the expansion trailers they've done. It's like so fucking good. Yeah. It's really good. It's hype. It's
cooking on
they
that
fucking cooked with that trailer. It's so good.
I gotta watch this. I don't remember it.
I think we could probably put this under a we didn't really play.
Yeah,
though.
I was gonna put.
I wouldn't want to give that a value.
Yeah.
If we didn't really play. Probably same for
Worthy. I'm gonna say Worthy.
Played any?
I didn't.
I played 1 week of Worthy right before Arrivals.
I watched the thing where the thing crashed outside the tower.
That was the thing where I just like I definitely knew I was
do that. So.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't watch it, but I saw like that was like a moment where I was like tapped out of Destiny by like early dawn and was like paying attention to it, and then I saw people then talking about like it's Destiny's first live event. And I was just like, wait, what's going on? Yeah, big quotation marks, and then seeing like then go finding like actual Destiny creators like videos of it, and just watching them sit in a tower,
watching
like
the sky for like 3 hours,
fast forwarding to the tower for 3 hours, and be like, oof, okay, well.
Yeah,
I guess I didn't miss
rough out here.
I didn't miss much, and I know like general sentiment was pretty low with this season in general. Like I know like a lot of people did not, because like the seasonal activity that year was literally like public events or something.
It kind of was,
yeah. Like so I know like people were like not super into that, and they brought back Trials, but I think like this was that moment when like the Trials was like kind of okay at first, and then it just got like rampant cheaters like blowing it up pretty soon after that. And I know that's kind of
anti-cheat.
That kind of brought it down a lot, but
it's
we didn't really play it though, so I can't really.
Shadowkeep had those.
Put that in that.
Shadowkeep had the big primary weapon nerfs that like really slowed the whole game down.
Yeah.
So like this whole year was a rough year for me in Destiny. I'd say.
Sure.
Every time I tried to get into it, I just couldn't. Even with Arrivals, the next one, which I know you really like, Mike.
I love
I just
Arrivals was like.
enough time into it, I guess. You know?
Yeah,
Sure.
Arrivals was like that perfect timing of like this was like the pandemic hit, so I was like stuck inside already and just like needed something to like take my mind off all the shitty things going on. And then I remember we sat down. There's an archive of I think it's me, you, and Quinn watching we saw like the Beyond Light reveal, and then like that was just like the moment where it's like, oh shit, the thing they teased at the end of the Destiny 2 campaign, the fucking pyramid ships are actually fucking here doing things.
Yep.
Like years later, and they're finally doing it. So like that alone was like
That was very
just
cool.
a moment where it's like, oh shit, seems like a big deal. I want to go back and play it. And also this is when they revealed obviously the content involved, and that's all been going down. So I was like, well, this seems like the perfect time to like go try and play this again. And go get ready for Beyond Light and go back and play all that stuff.
That year was literally just like go play all of this shit before it leaves. I thought was really smart.
Yes,
that's why I went through all of those old raids. Like
exactly. That's
my raid report. I have like 1 clear on most of those raids and like 5 or 6 on Leviathan.
This is when I finally did Scourge. This is when I tried out the Forges. This is when I tried. But the like problem was like at that point there's so much stuff. Nobody was playing anything, right?
Yep.
So like
Sure.
I would just be doing all this shit alone, and that was like the struggle.
That
say
that's
what you
kind of what I
will
ran
about
into a little bit.
the vaulting stuff that they do now, but yeah.
Yeah, I did. So the reason I got back into it as hard as I did, because I like watched the reveal for Beyond Light, and I'm like, man, this looks pretty sick actually. And so then my friend Aaron, who we raided with the other day, was just like, all right, bet, and then just like bought me a Steam copy of like the Shadowkeep Deluxe Edition, and I'm like, all right, well, if you're gonna force my hand, and I am here now. This is their fault.
they did all of this. Yeah.
Is this when you became hardcore Destiny?
Oh God, yes, yeah, absolutely. It was like the first time I also like really. It was the last FPS that I played on PC since like Team Fortress 2. So yeah, like that, like Arrivals was like the big like, oh shit, like I'm back into this. Like that was whenever I got hit up by a friend and like joined the Destiny clan that I'm part of now, and like run raids with all those people all the time. So like that was like the kind of like start of that experience.
Yeah, it's,
like,
it's funny how literally almost the exact same experience as you.
Yeah, and so I remember like having a really, really good time before Beyond Light, because like Arrivals, like I have this like Shack News article pulled up with like all of them in order, and Season of Arrivals was 154 days, which is very long.
Yeah, because like that was like the thing with that one is like the first time the expansion kind of got delayed like that.
Yeah.
But it was like it happened like mid-season, like where they were already in the middle of the season, and then it got delayed, so they kind of had to like. But luckily, I think it worked out because they just like at that point in the game had so much content, and it already was kind of built around like go back and do this stuff.
I remember having like a great time like going through and building like a spreadsheet to-do list of stuff that I had to get done.
Yeah,
yeah, neat.
Yeah. There was definitely like weeks of that for me of just like I wake up in the morning and I literally just boot up Destiny and I just play it all day and just knock stuff out, or like, all right, I'm gonna go do some Forges today and try and get that stuff done. I'm gonna see what these weapons are about. I'm gonna do this, or I'm gonna go catch up on this, or get exotics, or do whatever. Yeah, it was like a whole lot of that.
As far as like Arrivals specific stuff goes, it was, I think, still a public event for the seasonal activity, right?
Yeah.
Which was like kind of interesting. Like, I don't hate that idea in practice, but I also way more like what we have now.
Yes.
Like, I kind of get what they were going for.
Yes.
But they had the bug out bag quests, right, where you would go and help each person on each destination.
I thought that stuff
prepare
was awesome.
to leave.
Yeah,
and you get an exotic
or like,
for, like
in
each
some
one.
cases be like,
really
I'm
cool.
staying actually.
Yeah,
all of the stuff. Yeah, no, it was incredible.
Yeah,
and like
sure,
how
cool.
like and how like all of that stuff has narratively paid off now already has been really fucking cool.
Yeah,
because I straight up
especially
didn't
Asher.
like especially Asher, especially with what's her name on Titan? Sloan.
Sloan. Yeah.
Sloan. Oh, that's
great.
true.
Yeah.
Sloan had a great payoff.
And then also the narrative payoff with Brother Vance is very funny.
Yes,
him
good
getting
fun.
fucking dunked on. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's
I'm gonna put it up here.
Yeah,
I
that's
would,
fair.
Yeah, I would.
You want to put it in S tier?
I wouldn't put it in S tier. I was actually kind of thinking B tier. which might be like a little controversial. I don't know if it's as good. It might be as good as the other ones. It might be A. I think it might be A.
I feel like it's A.
I'm assuming an A just because of like our own feelings on it. Of us like
Sure. Yeah.
I
think you're right.
Because for me, it's like all of these things that we're putting up high, I experienced during Arrival, so I kind of have those feelings for Arrival. So I say for like our tier list in that regard, like I kind of am okay putting it like alongside the ones we put up high, just because like it's funny because like my story is very similar. Of like I just got really into it, and then like that was my like kind of time really like learning Destiny and being like, oh okay, like this is where I want to be, and this is like where I'm learning like builds and playing all the different characters and getting different exotics and learning how to play them, how they play differently and how that can change the experience from moment to moment. Getting into like raids and dungeons and doing nightfalls and like higher tier content and learning about how like work like actually like playing with people in a way that's like more about communicating and getting those things and really optimizing, and like that just like opened that game up to me in a way that like okay, now I care about a lot of this stuff now, and I started doing some of the things like you said, like going and getting titles. Like I went and like started getting old titles, and like I went back and got like the Wayfarer title and a bunch of old titles.
God, I wish.
The Arrival titles. Like
I'm still bitter about it because it like shows you on the legacy title screen, but the only thing I didn't do for Wayfarer was get one auto rifle to drop from Escalation Protocol.
I remember that. Like there was, those
So
are
I
some
just
of those
every
early
time
ones
I
were
look at my
pretty
legacy
brutal.
titles, that's just there staring.
Yeah,
at me now.
I have a similar thing with not just Chronicler, but also the Forge one, which I think is like Blacksmith.
Oh, Blacksmith.
Because like those were like literally time gated, like because of how those things worked. Where it was like you had to like go get all of the lore drops that were like specific on weeks for the Chronicler one, because it was tied to Forsaken and like the things you had to do each week in Forsaken to get lore drops. So like you can only get it at like very specific weeks. And the same thing with Black Armory, where like that was like I think like a daily thing where like it's like partially weekly to like get a bunch of stuff, and that's how you got like I think you had to get like a certain kind of ship from doing that, and that's what I needed. I need the actual Black Armory ship to like get the title, and it was just one of those things where like once I realized that it was just like so little time was left, I just did not have the time, and I was like motherfuck, I couldn't. Only reason I couldn't do it is because they freaking time gated those things at those moments now. So that was that moment where I just like accepted that like that's gonna be a natural point in Destiny, and not to get like too buttered about it, because it's just gonna happen. And I moved on with my life. Obviously, there's people who still get really upset about that. So like whatever. But
people get salty about how easy titles are to get now comparatively.
Yeah,
but it fucking sucked.
They were pretty brutal early on.
Yeah,
getting some
I
of these.
literally quit playing the game for almost a year because I got one of the titles.
Yeah.
So
it was awful.
It was pretty awful for sure.
Now this is the season that I got in. The first season I had 100 on.
The Season of the Hunt / Beyond Light. That's kind of where we're at now.
I mean, like gut feeling, I would put it at a B. It's
I was thinking
it's
B.
not bad.
Yeah.
I don't think it's like. I think it's like slightly above average. You know?
Yeah, for sure. This
Crow finally coming back in the story though.
I thought the
like cool,
dynamic with like you rescuing him from Spider was awesome. Also, fucking killing Sagira off screen is such a weird decision.
That's
we know
sucked.
why they did it now, and we have like the hindsight of like Osiris being introduced here as like actual Savathun being there the whole time, right?
Which
very
like,
good
is
stuff.
awesome, but like it like still like it just still like rubs me the wrong way a little bit.
Sure,
but at the same time, I don't know
it's
of
kind
a
of on
better
purpose
way to do
though.
that.
Yeah,
totally.
But the Wrathborn hunts were an extremely not great activity.
They were fine.
I did not really care for them. The weapons also themselves were like not really anything too special for me.
It's like Deafening Whisper was
Deafening Whisper was like
the only one I remember.
That was like I think that was like the first time we got a Wayframe grenade launcher too, right? Or was there one before?
Yeah, and I used
it was the
that
second
thing,
one.
I used that thing until Forbearance came out. So.
Yep, same. And it was like learning. That was the first one of those I used. The other one was from Season of the Dawn. I only know that
okay.
because people bring it up all the time.
Right.
And it got sunset. So this was like the only one in the game at the time. We just gotten hit with sunsetting. That's also true.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
all
It's a
loot
big
had to be
change.
relevant again. Focusing in some way also in this was a thing.
Yeah, that was something that like I liked that Arrivals did, was like the
Umbrals,
focusing
yeah.
system,
Umbrals
and then they
were
just
awesome.
like kept that going forward, which I think was a really smart choice.
Yeah. It was.
I think
great.
how it is now is like definitely the like natural like good evolution of it, but I think
Yes.
that
agreed.
I did really appreciate being able to like specifically hunt down, like target down like more roles and like control that RNG a little bit more.
Yes, 100%.
Agreed.
That was a great thing.
I think a B is
He's fine. Yeah.
it's fine.
B
I don't-
for hunt.
They're all going to be pretty similar now. So
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We definitely. This is like definitely when they kind of hit that moment. And I think like looking.
format,
I think like
you know?
as I like currently Destiny brained. Like I'm not as high on Chosen, but like at the time, I really
time, it
liked.
was
I
cool.
Chosen was
really
great.
liked. I
Yeah.
really liked Chosen. I really liked.
I think
Yeah.
the run,
You know?
the
We
got
run of
Presage,
Chosen up through
We got Battlegrounds
Lost
for
were
the first
incredible.
Battlegrounds
Yeah.
for the first time. A really good
Everything
meeting
Witch Queen
Kydal and
was
having
great, you know?
that stuff. Yeah, leading up to Witch Queen. So yeah, like
Title
I'm
was great. Yeah.
I'm pretty high end as well. I don't know. I'm
the
thinking,
guns were pretty good too in Chosen. As
Yeah, I'm thinking
Yeah.
like it's going to be A or B for me. I don't know where you're going.
That was whenever. Was that whenever we started getting? No, that was different. No, we didn't get origin traits until.
well.
That
Witch Queen.
was Witch
Witch
Queen.
Queen. That's
yeah.
right. Okay.
Mhm.
I'm probably more on the B side personally.
Yeah, I would do that. I would
Yeah.
put it a little bit higher than Hunt. I don't know if we're like delineating on those.
I can-
but,
front
like,
of Hunt.
Yeah, I'll put it
Yeah.
in front of Hunt. Yeah, I'm cool
Great.
with that.
Perfect.
Because
Because that was also the start of me like. That was the first time where I felt like, okay, I need to play weekly because I want to know what's happening in this story.
Yes.
like
For
this
sure.
is the moment that
For
they
sure,
like hooked
yeah.
me on like the seasonal narrative type.
the narrative type B. That's definitely
And
when
we're
they
getting-
started coming in much better for sure. And
Crow,
we started getting
like,
Gilding
it's
Conqueror.
continuing
This is
the
when I
story.
started my Gilding Conqueror every season journey. This is when it started more or less. I think there were some Conquerors before.
Gilding though.
Yeah, So there was some Conqueror and like Flawless titles that you could get prior to this, but they were not like technically part of the gilding system. So I believe this is
Yeah.
when they started doing like actually
Yes.
being able to gild certain titles and things like that.
I ran my first GM this season.
So
two
that's when we
as well.
started
Nice.
with you, Mike.
doing
so,
GMs. Yeah, that's when we started
Proving
doing GMs a
Grounds
lot.
a
Yeah.
fucking tough GM.
Yeah,
too.
it was pretty
I
brutal
agree.
back in the day for sure.
Yeah.
That was
I
was
think
a
I
cool
got
first
Conqueror season at Chosen,
first cool it's the first while we got like a strike in a season also, so I like that.
Totally. Yeah. Like that was wild.
It's the only time we
yeah.
have.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
yeah.
So, I will say, like, well, I guess we've gotten reprise strikes, and those technically count.
Sure.
This was also when the story like continued from the previous season, right?
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
it ended with Crow being freed from Spider, and then like it picked up with Crow joining and helping the Vanguard, right?
Yeah,
like,
that's really when we
they kind
kind
of-
of first started truly getting some stuff. I feel like
Yeah.
Arrivals kind of started going into Beyond Light.
Sure.
Like that had a
Yeah.
little bit of that, like, or that was kind of the first really inclination of like we're gonna have a season storyline more properly, like go into like a big story or expansion moment, but definitely starting in like Hunt, like you're right, like that was like a true like we're gonna have like a full narrative going for like the entire year, and then that also is still gonna lead into the expansion. Like that's really like hit that stride. I feel like with this year going from these seasons, which they had not really done as much before.
Season of the Splicer.
A.
Let's fucking go.
A tier.
I fucking
Yeah.
A tier. I love
this
Splicer,
A
and I
tier.
will not stand any Splicer hate.
Yeah, I like
Vaulted
Splicer.
Glass.
Vaulted
I
Glass
think
came back.
that's great. Yeah,
I
that
love
was
the- I
also
love
my
the-
first time doing a contest mode raid. Like,
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
that
okay.
shit fucking owned. Oh my god.
Nice.
But
Yeah.
oh my,
I liked
the
this a lot.
narrative. The narrative from Splicer is still,
It's
I
Rex
think,
cool.
one of my
Excellent.
favorite ones. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it like, it was really fucking like good.
Like
And
you gotta put it in reference. Like I know that, hey, it's gonna get political real quick, y'all. I'm sorry, politics exists in video games.
Yeah.
But like
What?
in living in the United, living in the United States in 2021, when this season was happening, and like there are fucking like immigrant children and being put in like dog cages and shit. And this is like a very topical season about immigration and like refugees.
Like, it was
and
just
stuff
a
like
refugee
that.
story. Yeah.
It was extremely like poignant, and all these different like political faction wars that were happening. Them finally getting rid of the faction stuff, like they were really cooking with some shit in Splicer.
Yeah,
And Mithrax
this is
is like
great.
such a good character.
The stuff with
Mithrax
Saint in
is,
that
yeah,
season
awesome.
is
Is
still like
excellent.
some of the best stuff.
That
like,
Saint cutscene
that
is
Saint
one
cutscene
of
is
the best,
incredible.
Yeah.
in
Oh
the
my
game.
god,
It's great.
Except it's not in the game anymore. But you know what I mean.
it's so good though.
Yeah.
Like
It's in
the
the
skull
Destiny
on
cutscene
the
archive or
mask.
whatever the fuck.
yeah, they archived it on YouTube. Go watch it.
Yeah,
if you haven't
it's
seen it.
worth a
But,
watch.
Yeah, it's great. I agree.
I think like pacing wise, like it felt like a little weird how like quickly that turnaround kind of happened on like Saint, but also like I don't know, he's like it makes a lot of sense just because he seems to be a very empathetic person and
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know just
sure.
grappling with a lot of his own stuff. It's great. I really like it. I thought the activities were fine. They were serviceable.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
at least looked pretty.
Yeah,
you
so
know?
I was
felt
gonna
like
say
the
we got the
concept
Vex
of the
Network
season-
for the first time, and that was just cool
the
Yeah.
in
concept
itself.
of the season was really fucking cool, where
good
it was
music,
like nighttime
synthy
all the
music.
time, and
yeah,
then
the
after you
music was
finished,
great.
after
Yeah.
you finished the like finale, then you saw daytime for the first time in maybe 2.5 months. I thought
was
that was really
crazy.
cool.
Yeah.
The endless night.
Also, Lakshmi 2 getting fucking murdered at the end. Fuck
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, get
it
fucked.
ruled.
go.
Yeah. And also that voice actress, I always forget her name. She's
yeah.
so fucking good.
She is
Incredible.
an incredible actress. Yeah,
Yeah.
I forget
just
her.
like
I forget her name too, but yeah, she's
just
incredible.
like truly like narratively performance wise, I think some of it is
Peak
one of
Destiny
the
2.
like yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah. Also, just
We're gonna
also
have to bump
also throw
something up to S probably.
also throwing that out. All the weapons were extremely good in that season
Yes,
as well.
nothing but bangers.
Splicer weapons, like I said, the Vogue
Chroma
weapons.
Rush, dude.
Vogue weapons
Chroma
came
Rush.
back. Like these are
That- the grenade launcher.
prime. Like yeah, these are like prime. Like
Okay.
I hope they make these like brave type weapons that come back again or craftable
Soon.
weapons.
Please
Update them,
give
that'd
us
be really awesome.
Chroma Rush back.
Can I entertain? I would like to entertain an argument for bumping Splicer up to S.
Argument
I'm
noted
here
and
for it.
agreed. I'm
So,
cool with
yeah.
that.
Fuck yeah.
I'm cool.
Fuck
with
I think
that.
it's
yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
It is like
It's great.
my
The
favorite,
weakest part
like,
is the seasonal activity, but even still, it was fun. It was
Yeah, it was-
before
it was-
that
it was
stuff
fine.
had worn us down, you know?
I agree.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, it
Or
was,
like I would say like the 6-player thing was like the one that was like whatever. The other thing I forget what they're called. Like they were like little like speed
like-
run kind of
like-
things.
yeah.
The speed running
Those
things
were
were
those
super
those
fun.
those were fun. I like those.
And
So
you
they
get a
kinda
lot
made
of
up-
loot
They
from
kind of
them,
they kind of
you
made
know?
up. They kind of made up for that. Then we also like this was kind of when we first got the inclination that like the whole Osiris stuff was secretly Savathun at the end.
Breaking Bad, for sure.
Yeah, and then Season of Lost obviously went all in on that, and I think Season of Lost was like good, but it definitely was like I think out of all of these seasons that ended up getting extended with weird stuff, like kind of suffered the most. But I think like the thing obviously that propped it up was because this is when we got the 30th anniversary stuff.
Yeah.
So I think like
Yeah.
obviously like the 30th anniversary ends up getting I think associated more. I feel like we talk about that stuff way more than like Lost gets talking about at this point, right? So I feel like
Yeah.
that like alone is like tells me that like I don't know like there was cool stuff in Lost for sure. Like I think like a lot of the narrative stuff like going to see
narrative
Savathun
stuff
each
was
week.
fucking
Like
Deborah
Crow,
Wilson, dude.
yeah, Deborah
Oh my
Wilson, of
God.
course. Like, but
So
Crow obviously getting like his like story beat of like finding out his past about Aldrin, and then
That shit was tense as
And
fuck.
Crow
Yeah.
and Mara, like not liking Mara, such
Yeah.
good shit right there. I
Yeah.
love the tea.
the story stuff was good for sure, but like I would say on the other end, like I can't remember a weapon from that season off the top of my head. I
can't
Fractithist?
Oh,
You can't remember
Fractithist.
Fractithist, my beloved?
I just
Nope.
know that everything in it was just like purple and crystally.
Yeah, like
And
there's
all
it's like
the-
most of the
it's definitely
guns were
like
not great.
definitely like
Yeah.
in that moment being like, oh cool, we're going back to the Dreaming City. Like we haven't really been back here since like what like I think
Yeah.
at that point it had been Forsaken. Then you do the activity and it's just kind of like well, okay, like it was
Oh,
not
it's
really
just
like
activity.
with
it was
extra
like
steps.
it was
Yeah,
kind
got
of it was kind of whatever. That's like really when they hit that stride of like okay, six player activities they're good, we get it, but maybe you can
Maybe
mix
let's
it.
not.
Yeah, it was neat. I think that of the seasons that like lead into an expansion, it's probably the weakest one.
Yeah, the final mission was kind of cool, like a cool tease,
was
but like,
very cool.
Yeah.
but like, yes, like I think again, it's like my feelings of it were just like I feel like so many more people, including myself, like think about the 30th anniversary like
Same.
drops and like things that were involved
Which,
with
like,
that, which came during this.
Fundamentally has like nothing to do.
It has nothing to do with this season, and I think about that way more than I actually do the season like I came with, which was
It's about
Lost.
pirates.
So,
I think it's like a maybe B, maybe C tier.
yeah, I was gonna say C or D.
I would go for C.
C
seems fine.
C
C seems good.
I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good with C as well. And then of course now we get we're at Witch
We're in
Queen,
Witch Queen era.
/
Season
Risen.
of the Risen.
Maybe the
That's
best
where
era
we're-
of
where
Destiny
we're at.
2 ever.
Pretty
I don't
good.
Yeah.
We get
season was-
Void 3.0 in this
Yeah.
season, you know?
Void 3.0, one of the best,
season-
like, easily still one of the best campaigns they've ever done for Destiny, in my
So
opinion.
good. It's
Witch
so
Queen,
good.
It's
and then
so
Risen,
good.
and then Risen. Risen's like in a similar spot.
Risen literally happened.
Yeah,
That's it.
Yes, Risen is like a very similar spot.
some of the best
to,
guns this season has had, though.
like it's in a similar spot to Chosen for me in that
Yeah.
like we got Battlegrounds
Yes.
again, and like it's hard for me to look past like my current feelings on Battlegrounds of just like not really liking them anymore.
I do
And
not like PsyOps Battlegrounds.
and then like
to be honest.
psyops are like I think were a little bit weaker than they are. Like at the time they were cool because obviously the season tied in more narratively to Witch Queen because it's like, oh yeah, Light Hive are here, and now we're having them actually like engage in other parts of the world, and like, you know, we're going to different destinations to actually fight them there. And like that was cool
I
conceptually,
liked
but then like the story
third
was just kind of like
the battleground on the moon where like you load in and like Keidel's forces back you up is fucking awesome.
Yes.
Like that was like the first
Except for
time
that part
happened
where you have
in
to
game.
put the tributes in the fountain. That part sucks so bad.
That part,
Yeah,
especially on a GM.
GM,
fuck.
yeah,
It
the GM for that
fucking
sucks. It sucks. It sucks. It's not good. It's not good. Or it's cool like the first time, and then like after that, it's like I don't want to do this
God,
anymore.
I hate this.
I don't do this anymore, and it's like miserable to do in the strike playlist because no one does that, and they're just like walking around like I don't even know what I'm doing. What am I?
Because there's
That
no
was-
instruction on what to do. Yeah,
That season, I think it didn't do like a ton for me narratively. I kind of have like a similar feeling about like Plunder as well, where it was just like it's kind
Plunder
of
is
fine.
a rough one for me. Too.
I have a lot of not good
Like
thoughts about
I
Plunder.
like I got like I'm like, oh yeah, hell yeah, like this is like really cool. Like around the time whenever like Crow fucks up and then like
Great story. Saladin joining Kyle
like
and
joining the
Yeah.
Cabal is like really
Yeah.
good. I thought that was awesome.
stuff. It's great.
Yeah,
it's cool.
and I love
And
that
they've done
dynamic
stuff
there now
with
too.
it.
It's
You know?
great. Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
That like
The story team has been killing it for a while. It's just sometimes the gameplay is not as good.
Yeah,
you know?
and like
Yes.
the pacing for like some of the seasonal stuff for like the arcs they're wanting to do, I think don't always quite land.
yeah, this was a 4-week story because it was like the first.
Yeah, 'cause it was
season
like
of the
Yeah, it was like
expansion.
it was like
Yeah.
combined with the season. Yeah.
yeah. So it
But it's-
happens very quickly, you know.
So yeah, but yeah, it was not bad, but like I think
Yeah.
it's
I loved Season of the Haunted.
Season of the Haunted. I also really enjoyed, obviously as a Leviathan stan here, going back there and having it be like narratively and like seeing it like in its new like fucked up form and having like
Derelict
Duality.
Leviathan is
Ghost.
so cool.
Yeah, we got the
Duality's
Duality
cool.
dungeon.
Yeah.
Awesome. It's a cool
Love
dungeon.
Duality.
Cool weapons, a lot of cool weapons. We got we got Solar 3.0 with that one,
Yeah.
I believe.
Yep.
Yeah, and
Cool,
did we.
some sick ass armor with the
I
season.
think about that
like
scythe all the time.
the scythe.
Yeah, the scythe
We
is
got the
very
scythe,
cool.
which is
I
just
just
fucking
hated
cool.
the fucking
Minnozel.
public event thing.
Yeah,
the
no,
public event was
I
kinda
didn't mind it
whatever,
at
yeah.
first. I thought it was like a neat idea to have it be like basically like a destination. I thought that was like pretty interesting,
Totally.
just because of how fucking big the environment for that raid was. I thought that was like
perfect with me, Mike.
yeah, I
Yeah.
thought that was like awesome. Where'd you put it?
I put in B.
B.
B tier? Yeah, I'm okay with that. I think the weapons that came back are great. I still use my Callus Mini tool. It's incredible.
They've
I
not given
think
us a better solar lightweight option, you know.
the narrative stuff I think worked out decently well. It was like a
Yeah,
little
I
jarring
like
to
these-
go from like 1 week struggling, next week they're going to get through all of their problems. Like I kind of get
Yeah,
that.
it definitely moved a little fast, but I like the whole setup of like dealing, like getting to know like Zavala more from like being
the
obviously
Lance Reddick
the
performance
stoic,
this season,
the stoic leader to like hearing
incredible.
more about like
Yeah.
his history with and his like wife and
his
stuff
son.
like was really cool.
Yeah, all of the cutscenes in that season were just like heartbreaking. So
Yeah,
Devastating.
Yeah, and
I
then
thought it was
Gaul
duality-
redemption.
the
the-
Gaul stuff.
I like
was so
the
good.
the duality story and getting more Callus and Kaido
Yes.
stuff.
Yeah.
Like that was great as well. Like there's a lot of cool
Such good
story bits that like really fleshed out the Cabal in like a cooler way this season for sure. For sure that I liked.
It was pretty neat.
I like the finale like mission thing where you're like on where you like go into that pyramid ship area and you get the fucking ghost head of Callus and you're fighting alongside Kaido and stuff in that little like pyramid area. It's a cool little
I also like that
final
it's
sequence.
I think the only season that we lose.
Yeah,
like narratively,
definitely.
which I thought was really cool.
One of
and
the first ones,
interesting.
yeah, for sure. That I think that actually happened.
And it was like another thing. Like I think before I think Season of the Plunder or something, they had like shown off a little bit of Lightfall at this point, and we like knew Callus was going to be there. I think.
Yeah, I
At this
think
point-
It was the day
I think it
Plunder
was.
came
I
out.
think it was when.
Okay.
I think it was.
Okay.
Yeah, they revealed
At the end
that
of the
and
season.
Plunder. Yeah,
Yeah.
So it's
So,
basically
okay.
yeah, because like they had like an ending thing where you went into the. Well, that's right. There's
That's
just a thing
right.
where you
That's
had like after you complete that finale mission, you go into the helm, and then Callus like virtual
Callus, like,
face
hijacks
shows
the
up
shit out
and
of
taunts
you,
you,
yeah.
and is like, "I'm with the witness now," more or less.
Yeah.
And it's like, "Oh shit!"
Great narrative follow up to the Presage exotic mission. Also,
Agreed.
Yeah,
absolutely.
A lot of cool
Yeah.
little
stellar.
narrative moments that paid off. And yeah, that was I really like that.
And then we take a sharp left turn.
and then we take a pretty hard turn into Season of the Plunder. Yeah, like I don't know.
Yeah.
There was just like a lot of stuff that really worked for me in this. Other than King's Fall, we got King's Fall during that, and
King's
I
Fall
like
was great.
I like King's Fall.
Yeah.
I like this revised version of King's Fall. Obviously, I didn't play Destiny 1, but it was cool to like have this like big raid that
Yeah.
like so many people remember fondly.
love it.
And it's a
I
good
liked playing
update
around
version
with
of that.
Arc 3.0 a lot. I thought Arc 3.0
Arc
was very
3.0
fun.
has some good
I liked
stuff.
that I was able to finally build into just as much chain lightning as possible. That was super cool.
Yeah. Just everything else was like I'm
I thought the activities were fine, but I got tired of them pretty quickly.
I really just did not like
I
the
burned
story-
on both of them. Yeah,
super
The
fast
story was
same.
like pretty weird. It was like cool to see Aramis again.
Yeah,
That's right, stuff was
Aramis coming
cool.
back was cool.
Yeah.
I like
Aramis was
like
cool.
like the
Yeah.
Mithrax and his daughter and Drifter. Like there was cool stuff, but like I just didn't feel like it really amounted to much.
Yeah,
And,
the
like,
entire thing
It
just
felt like an anime filler arc. If I'm just being
it
honest,
felt.
So
yeah,
that's
it was
where
like-
I
it
landed
was
on
very-
that
it
to
was
me
very,
personally.
like,
But
it was very like jarring that like the last season was just like we're fucked. Like oh god,
Yeah.
everything is on fire, and then there were just like
let's go be pirates.
Pirates?
The Drifter walks into a
It
bar
turns-
and he's like,
and it turns-
"Let's have some fun."
the
sister."
Drifter was really good in that season.
was
though.
great
They
in
just
this
let him
season.
chew that fucking
Yeah.
scenery.
Yes,
and the
yeah,
stuff
for
with
sure.
him and Ido was incredible.
Yeah, Ido's great.
Yeah, some
also,
good-
this
there's
is
some
what
good-
Ido
Ido
got
is
introduced.
some good
yeah, that's the
moments.
one thing that I think I
Yeah.
love the most out of like Season of the Plunder is that we got Ido.
Yeah, for sure.
But everything else is
Ido-
fine. The
Ido and
Nezarec stuff
Kingsfall.
was just like it felt very much like
I'm just
end
gonna-
of
I'm
the
just gonna do
season.
that.
By the way, these are all Nezarec. Ooh, you know.
I would put it more in D tier, but I think that's fine. I'm not.
I put
I'm
it.
not
I
gonna
put.
lose sleep over
I
it.
put it in F
That's
tier.
fine. You feel you
Everybody.
you feel more strongly about this, so that's fine.
Yeah, and that's fine.
Yeah, it's
Season of the
my-
Seraph.
Season of the Seraph.
I liked Season of the Seraph.
Season of
I
Seraph.
like Season of the Seraph as well.
I'm gonna say it, and maybe this is a hot take
Yeah,
in some
go
regards.
for it.
This is probably like one of my favorite Destiny seasons, like period.
Pretty good.
Yeah,
I don't know if I would go
for me.
that far. But
It's up. Yeah, I would say like it's a top 3 for me. And that like
Mm-hmm.
there's so much about it. Of like I love all this. I love the story. I love that War Mind stuff is back. It's some of my like favorite.
Yeah.
Just across the board of just like the visual aesthetics of that. Like
Mm-hmm.
like the armor, the places you go, the story narrative of like
Yeah.
that comes back with Elsie and Anna and
Clovis.
Clovis, and obviously now like Rasputin.
yeah, I like that there was narrative payoff for again another thing that was like in a lore book on Arrivals of Anna Bray, you know, packing up what's left of Rasputin, right?
Yeah, that was like one of the most like anticipated like story pickups of just like where are they going with Rasputin and all this stuff, and like getting all these cool story like reveals that were like so impactful for like all of Destiny in some regards of like, oh yeah,
the last cutscene in
like,
the finale was incredible.
It's like one of the best cutscenes like they've done, like I feel like ever.
The Traveler
in some respects,
making its
such
last
a cool
stand.
moment. Such a cool moment, and like I love all the guns from that. Like obviously, there's a lot of like they reprised all the Icolos guns, but I even like just the actual Seraph guns, like the pulse rifle's really good.
Disparity's
really good. I liked all of that stuff. We got Spire.
Revision Zero is there, you know.
Revision Zero, and I really like that quest.
The exotic mission also super cool.
The one where you go onto a ship and commit a war crime. Yeah, that
hell
one.
fucking yeah.
Hell fucking yeah.
Yeah.
I liked Seraph quite a bit.
I have few bad things to say about Seraph, except for I don't like Heist Battlegrounds.
Yes, Heist Battlegrounds are like I like them more than Psyops, but I would say again in general like
I did.
I would say really I probably even like them more than the Chosen ones, but still that's like at a Battlegrounds tier, which I'm like about.
I think the thing that I also appreciated about it narratively is that I have not. I don't know if I would go S tier.
Okay,
I would go A.
Okay. I would go A tier.
That's fine. That's fine.
I really liked the Clovis Rasputin dynamic in the season.
Yes,
and
that's great.
It has like made me excited to see the stuff that happens with Clovis Bray in the future, because there's no fucking way we're done seeing him. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely
agreed.
Not. And he's got big energy.
I really liked the scene where you like finally get like full control of Rasputin. He kind of shows you the truth of like, like Anna was like the reason I'm like, you know, like I was gonna shoot the traveler, and she kind of helped me become human and see so much more and do all this stuff, and like it's a cool moment, really cool cutscene,
and like I think Osiris in that like kind of snaps a little bit in like that season, and I think that's super interesting also. Like finding out like the stuff between like Osiris is tied to like Fellwinter and all of the shit that happened with the Warmind there. Like I think was really fun,
and all the setup for Lightfall, all the setup for
Neomuna and Lightfall.
They said the word the Veil,
Spire of the Watcher dungeon and also during this time,
which I didn't know what that was for another half a year, but that's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
Season of Defiance.
This was probably. Fine. It was fine. It was probably honestly.
I think it's the better of the. It's like one of the better of the like season start like with an expansion ones.
Yeah, I liked it more. I liked it more than Risen. For sure.
I didn't
really.
I like Risen more than Defiance for sure. I think Defiance is kind of a letdown.
Really?
Okay.
I just I think they didn't utilize Mara very well. Obviously. That comes back around in Wish, and she's used very well. I think the Defiance Battlegrounds are definitely my least favorite Battlegrounds.
Yeah, I did not really enjoy those. There's probably a reason that I think I talked about in last of the podcast where they're going to be vaulted. They're not going into the playlist like the previous ones did.
Yeah,
I think I'm fine with that. Like I think like the weapons I didn't really care for. I think there was think there was some story stuff that I didn't. Enjoy, but I think I liked that. I like some of the weapons. I like certain aspects of Defiance that I like. You know, I thought it was interesting to have more of the human characters on this.
Yeah,
and it be more like
I love
like
that.
centered on these like people that are like
being like such a
they're just like this
awesome.
like fucking insane shit is happening on, and like we just got to be. We're just humans. How we like fucking deal with this. It's like I like that twist on it, but like I think they didn't. Obviously, I think because it was a very much of a tied into Lightfall, which was its own weird thing going on, and I think that was just a weird moment in general.
And like obviously, there's no way they could have planned for this, but Zavala delivering a eulogy like 3 or 4 days right after Lance Reddick died hit so hard. Oh my god,
it's pretty.
Yeah, them kind of. Doing like Amanda dirty also did not sit well with me. To
that's
be honest.
valid. Yeah, I think that could have like
It's frigid,
yeah.
Jason, is what I'm saying. Okay, that's
No,
I'm like,
totally.
Yeah.
you know,
Like I think there
like
are.
it was kind of a motivation for Crow-esque thing that they did, and
I think
don't
there are
love that.
better ways to kill off her character if they wanted to.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
They
And
could have done better.
Avalon
They could have
is like
They could have done
Yeah.
better.
Oh, that was
Avalon's
Avalon,
very
right?
cool,
Yeah.
but
I
Legend
like
Avalon like
Legend Avalon
fucking
is
sucks.
fucking awful. But
Yeah,
like all the
that
stuff,
was
like
pretty
again, the
miserable.
payoff from Arrivals with
the payoff for everything. Excalibur is a great weapon,
Yeah.
and like all the Ashermere stuff is awesome. But
Yeah. I kind of.
I'd say D is perfectly.
Yeah, I
perfectly
put
fine.
Yeah.
it
Do
in
you see
theory.
what? Do you see what I mean?
I
At
would-
least like it's
yeah.
just.
Yeah,
It is the one of the past 3 that I forget
Yeah.
the most about, or the past 4, I suppose.
Yeah, I would say like the next one we're getting into I would say like there's okay things about it, but I found it extremely disappointing more than anything. Being Season of the Deep, it just felt like so much like missed potential, bringing back this planet that was taken into the darkness, and then they just I feel like with Witch Queen we got Mars back, and like obviously it just became like a simple hub, but like having this gravity of it being alongside Savathun and stuff like felt cool. And so the idea of like here's the Titan coming back, and it was like one of my favorite destinations from year 2 or year 1 of Destiny 2, and like you just used it for like one of like probably like the worst 6-player activities you've made.
The worst 6-player
Like,
activity.
it's probably
in the
easily
game.
the
not
worst one,
good.
and it's like really
Yeah.
a bummer because like I love the aesthetic and visuals of Titan,
Salvage.
but there's just nothing really to do there. And then there's
think
like the other the deep dive thing,
deep
like
dives. I
like-
really like deep dives.
yeah,
I like deep dives, but like there's a lot of room for fuck ups, and I don't.
Yeah.
Totally.
I
Totally.
I
think-
don't love how little agency you have to progress it, forward
Yeah,
difficulty.
I think-
like
yeah.
everybody has to be
Yes.
doing stuff.
And I
versus the coil that just kind of goes right.
Yeah, and
I think that we wouldn't have had the coil without deep dives.
For
Like,
sure.
for sure.
Or onslaught, I think, but
Totally,
it's-
but I definitely like agree. I don't want to give it like a ton of like glowing points.
yeah,
for-
because I also
and then
think
all of
the
that.
way the exotic mission shit like worked out with that.
Yeah,
is,
that's
like,
what I
I
was.
still don't have it.
That's what I was gonna bring up is like it had like a cool like core concept when you did like those first couple weeks, and then they just tried to fit everything on top of it where it's like here now you have to do all these extra little things to get this done or that done or this done, and then you have to do like all these extra things to then go get the exotic that's in the quest, and then like you have times where it's just like you're going into the mission and matchmaking with random people, and they're trying to do their pieces, and then and then if you're trying to do your own thing, then everybody's just like pissed off at each other. You can like actively tell, even if you're just with randos, where like I'm watching people real time like do the things to do the exotic part and like run off into the exotic part by themselves. I'm just like, dog, we're just like not even we're not communicating. We're just randoms in a thing. I am not helping you with this. I'm sorry. And like I've had, and then like, or you're like trying to do a thing clear. Someone's just trying to get some weird check mark clear, and they're just doing the typical strike, like blast through it. And strikes, it's like whatever, because like anybody can do whatever. But like in this
have to be
activity,
doing specific
you have to be
things
doing
in this
specific things
activity.
to like actually like check boxes for things you want to do, and it just like ended up making that like a really miserable experience. So I like never wanted to go do it again. And like
I thought the like
and then Ghost of the Deep.
Ghost of the Deep, which was
yeah.
like it's like fun like the first like couple
I
times
think
you
it's
do
a
it, and then I
great
never
first run.
Yeah,
like
then you
doing
never
that
really wanna
dungeon
do it
for the
much else
first time
after
is
that.
fucking
I
awesome, and then
never
I
wanna
never
touch it again.
wanted to touch it again.
Yeah.
It's just so tedious.
It's just tedious.
I liked the story
weapons.
fine.
The weapons across the board are
The
like
weapons are pretty bad.
yeah,
bad,
like
yeah.
from
I'll just
from
say
like
they're
yeah, they're
Reckoning
bad.
weapons coming back, and they're all
just
bad.
they're just
as
kind of
well,
bad,
like,
and
then,
not craftable.
and then there's
yeah.
taken versions of the Reckoning weapons as basically
Which
what the
are
weapons
just
are,
bad.
Yeah, there was
which
like
are just bad.
yeah, they're just bad.
I liked the story
even the dungeon
fine
ones,
enough.
not
I
really
thought it was
great.
pretty good.
Story was all right.
Yeah, the
but
story
I-
stuff
I
was
think-
alright with Asa and the like
Yeah, it was
Sloane
like
and
really
stuff.
like
the witness
I-
backstory.
Yeah,
that
we got
was
like
really
the
interesting
biggest.
stuff.
Yeah, we got like
Yeah.
one of the most important
I thought-
Destiny cutscenes ever, just like in the middle of this season. Yeah,
I thought the like seeing Sloane interact with like like Sloan and the Drifter stuff I thought was really good.
Sloan
like,
and Saint stuff was
Sloan,
really fucking
Sloan with anybody, like honestly, like that dynamic of like her being out there for too long and like her character stuff, I think through that season was super interesting, but like everything that kind of wrapped it in was just like it felt a little flat for me.
Yeah.
So
Next to
maybe-
Plunder makes sense for me.
Yeah, I was gonna
yeah.
say. I was gonna ask, like, if you guys think that's too harsh, but that's personally where I'm putting it because I
think it
found
might be a little harsh because I think that there is like some good stuff in there. I would maybe bump it up to D.
Okay, yeah, we can do D because there is like I like a lot of the armor sets that came from that season. There's some really good armor sets from that season. I'll give it that.
The
Looking
dungeon
back,
armor set.
I have like
Fishing
a little bit.
was like fine too.
Fine, yeah.
Its novelty kind of wore off.
Its novelty wore off pretty quick.
I liked it. I think overall, like looking back, I did enjoy Season of the Deep, and I think that like as we kind of get away from being in the like sticks of some of the bad stuff in that season, people will like look back a little bit fondly on it. But I think that this is fine for now.
Yep. Then we had Season of the Witch.
Love Season of the Witch.
I like Season of the Witch. I think
love
the story stuff was good. The story stuff was like
really
definitely
strong.
the big thing for me were like the story and Savathun's Spire, the activity. I like those two quite a lot. The other activity I did not like at all, to be honest.
I
didn't like
hate
altars.
Summoning. Altars of Summoning sucks so bad.
I did not enjoy it.
I never had a good experience with it.
I kind of liked it.
Well,
I liked it.
I think there was some fun stuff, but like it felt reliant on like you
had to find a good group.
You had to have a good group.
Yeah,
and I never had that for that.
And like
activity.
just like matchmaking into that, it just never felt like there was definitely a point. I feel like after the first couple weeks, I definitely hit a point where it's just like I'm just getting people who are like not really
doing
great
one
at the game, or like doing one thing, or like
putting
or,
in
like,
the highest
struggling
difficulty and then leaving. Like I feel like more trolly shit happens in that activity than in anything else I've played in Destiny. It sucks.
Yeah,
it really bummed me out, and it like I burned out on that season. Like that's when it's the only season I haven't ranked since Season of the Hunt. Or I haven't hit max rank, and I liked so much of it, but like, you know, you got the puzzle box room at the end as well.
Yeah, the Imbaru engine is fucking awesome,
which is great. But because I didn't do Altars of Summoning, I didn't get all the cards, and I couldn't do the last puzzles for that. Like it just doesn't let you have access to it, and so I had to like watch somebody else do it, and it felt very poorly handled, and it sucks because like it's maybe one of my favorite narratives of any Destiny season ever.
It's so good.
Really good.
Yeah,
it's really incredible.
Like one of the like wildest swings I think they've gone for.
The truest payoff of a character arc in any Destiny story.
Yeah.
And I love Eris, and I love Savathun, and I love all of the shit that they get up to together. It's just
I also really like whenever a season is focused around like Xivu Arath being the enemy, because you cannot take her on like head
by
on.
conventional
like
means.
I think that it's always like super interesting, like watching characters try and figure out a way around it. And I think that like how they handled that impending threat is one of the like smartest ways that I've ever seen that handled. I think about the scene where Eris fucking rips Savathun's throat out all the time.
All the time.
Shit went so fucking
it was a
hard.
cool, good. It was a cool moment for sure. Just being
and
like,
then,
oh
like,
yeah, brought it back.
The lore book for something that you get after that is Saint 14 finding Savathun afterward.
Yeah, and killing her
like hundreds of times. Like
for
you
what
needed that dude.
For what she did, it was so good.
Deserve that. And then like at the end of that, where he just like goes home and just like bursts into tears and hugs Osiris, that shit hits, dude.
It hits.
Yeah.
I'm totally with
God.
you. This is also the third season in a row with almost no guns that I give a shit about. Like Eremite be damned.
Yeah, I was gonna say
I liked a good amount of the guns.
There's a few I liked, and we also got Crota in this season too. So I did like some of the Crota
guns. Stuff. But again, I've run that raid like 3 times, so like it's the one I've run.
Also, I do want to give a shout out. Like we like briefly touched upon like the seasonal activity, but like this was like the first time that the progression felt like tangibly different than we were used to, which I thought was cool.
I liked.
Loved the deck building aspect. I thought that was like super interesting and refreshing.
Yeah,
it
was cool.
I'm a fucking stupid, annoying card game idiot, so like that worked for me. Let me tell you. I overall quite liked Season
I
of the
think
Witch.
it's fair to say it's a good season. It is just the one that burned me, I think, the most.
Yeah.
I'm feeling A or B on this.
Yeah,
personally.
I was gonna say B. B,
fine with that.
B is where I'm at because like as much as I did not like Altars of Sorrow, I really like Savathun Spire. Like that was like the perfect blend of like
Spire's fun.
perfect blend for me of like
Having,
it has different things going on and like little secrets, but it's also like the length of like a strike kind of. Like
Also,
it's in that vein, and that's
having
like a perfect
Amaru
thing
on
for
comms
me.
was great. Like
Yeah.
Amaru's writing was
Amaru's
like
pretty
genuinely
good.
very
Super
funny this
fun.
season.
It's pretty funny, yeah, for sure. And I briefly, I like we got Crota back. Like I know it was maybe not as exciting to maybe get something like Wrath back as a raid, but I still like this update to it, right? Like it was fine, and like I do like some of the weapons from that raid and some.
It
of that
was
stuff.
fun. I'll say
enough.
because like Crota was the only Destiny 1 raid I had never done, so like doing it in Destiny 2 was the first time I had done it, and it was really fun.
Yeah,
It was fun.
I hate that first.
it was
encounter. Fucking hate the Abyss.
my raid group is not particularly hot on Crota's end.
Yeah.
I think because of like the day one experience, which
Yeah, I
a
bet.
lot of that mechanic is fundamentally just stand around and wait and then pass. But you know,
right.
it was a
Buff,
Destiny 1
pass,
raid. You
buff,
can't
buff,
change
pass,
that too
you know
much.
what I mean?
But exactly, buff pass.
buff pass.
But here we are, our final season of the Wish, which we are now wrapping up. I mean, there's a recency bias to a certain extent, but obviously it's been going on for so long. I feel like it's like fair to be that.
I think it's okay. I like, since we are like so fundamentally into the light at this point. Like,
I think it's okay.
I
to-
just
tough.
kind of treat it as like a separate thing, like we did with 30th anniversary.
Sure.
The coil is the best seasonal activity we've ever had.
Yeah,
I agree.
I really like the coil
like
a lot as
full
well.
stuff.
I really liked the the seasonal
it's
story
engaging,
stuff.
It's challenging. It runs very long. Like if you want it to, you can hop
Yeah.
out
It's
early
Such
if
great
you want
escalation.
Yeah.
you
to. The
know?
reward,
Feels really
it's
good.
so rewarding
It's
to
so
like get a
rewarding.
platinum run.
So,
There's
yeah.
like 7 fucking chests in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
I thought
like
the story was neat and interesting.
I like the story stuff. I like the again. It was
I love how
Love the story.
I loved how it opened with Riven looking at you and just being like, "No, actually," and I'm like,
Yeah.
"No, that actually makes
yeah,
sense."
Okay,
You're right.
great. Yeah, that's pretty.
That's pretty
Get
rad,
some eggs
actually.
and like I like kind of the like this narrative setup of just like we like for Forsaken it was like she was the last Kara Riven, but now it's kind of set up where it's like maybe she's not, and maybe we could see more of this stuff in the future with these with like Karas and dragons stuff, which
Getting
cool
in the
cool
Great
on
Hunt
premise.
lore.
Great Hunt lore, really cool. I will
Warlord's
say
Ruin.
Warlord's Ruin,
Ruin.
incredible.
So
One of the
Deaded Kindness
best dungeons.
is- oh my god, yeah.
They've
Good
done.
guns again.
Yeah,
I
I
like
really,
the guns
really
in this
like-
season.
The guns
I
in
would
this season
say
are great.
Yeah, good, really good guns.
Scatter Signal is one of
Scatter
the best
Signal's
fusions they've
awesome.
ever made.
One of my favorite guns in the entire
Yeah,
game.
Scatters
Yeah.
are really good. I really like the Void linear that they made as well. It's also really
yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Doomed Petitioner,
Doomed
yeah.
Petitioner, yep. The raid
it,
guns,
like,
mainly the
Yeah.
it appealed
sidearm,
to my
dungeon
reluctant
sidearm.
heartstrings. Bringing back the Undying weapons, I thought was great, and
Yeah.
that SMG
Yeah.
is a fucking monster.
Yeah, it's a
And
good
giving them
SMG.
great rolls, like even as
Yeah.
a Horritive, the pulse rifle has like incandescent
great.
fuel clip.
Yeah.
and it's great.
Uh,
yeah.
I
Oh shit, that's
I-
getting buffed
I quit using the Ikelos SMG because the
because
Undying
of
one is just
subjunctive.
better.
Yeah.
Across the board, I really liked this this season. Just I like the story stuff with Riven.
I thought the finale
I'd say
was like really cool.
the finale
And, like
we got.
a nice little like lean into like the full circle like story of like Crow and
Crow.
Cade, and I think that's super
Crow's
interesting.
story is like the best story they've ever told in Destiny.
Yeah.
I really, except
Yeah.
for maybe Eris, but like the way that they have treated that character so well
I am
since
really
Forsaken.
like
it's-
I
Yeah.
am excited to see how all of this like wraps up with the Witness specifically, but I think the stuff with Crow and Cade is the things that I'm most excited
Yeah.
about
yeah,
for the
it's,
final
yeah.
shape.
it's gonna
There's
be the
gonna
shit
be-
that makes you cry in that
Oh
game.
my
It's
God,
gonna
yeah,
be
absolutely.
so many payoffs and like full circle moments. Like clearly that's
I almost
what they
fucking
set up
cried
with this,
watching the cutscene.
Yeah, with
dude.
Yeah,
the,
the
with the
finale.
cutscene
Spoiler
alone
warning
and just
also.
having this like
Yeah.
clearly these like colliding of like I feel like it's truly like the like those two characters are like the essential like colliding of these eras
Yeah.
of Destiny, right? Where you
Yeah.
had like the pre and post Crow
Forsaken.
and Forsaken and all this stuff. Like it's like seeing them kind of literally side by side in that scene was just like, okay, yeah, this is going to be
It was really
you
cool.
know the
Big
passing of the
moment.
torch is coming, right?
Yeah.
Like I feel like we've been waiting for it forever of Cade like passing the torch to Crow.
Yeah.
And that now we can see that happening, like start to happen. It's so amazing. We haven't had a Hunter Vanguard for fucking 5 years.
Since 2017.
Sure.
No, not 2017, 2018.
2018.
Yeah.
So yeah, 6 years.
Yeah. And
That's crazy.
yeah. And, but I mean, to be honest though, like that aspect of it, like I would be fine if they just like still didn't go with us having one, even without that. Like,
Sure.
even if there is like a technical passing, like the like I would be fine if they just went like, we don't care about the Vanguard as like a thing anymore. It's just we're just who we are, kind of moment. Just because like
be kinda neat.
we've had it, we've not had one for so long, and we've still succeeded in just being like whatever, and we can just
And we
keep
get our
going.
Vanguard back for the finale, right?
Yes.
We get Cade and
Yeah.
Zavala and Ikor, the
And-
fire team. You
Like
know?
I could like if anything, it would be cool and wild if it was more of a moment of like not just a passing for the torch for like the hunter kind of Vanguard thing, but like the Vanguard as a whole. Like this is the arc they've been on, and like now they're together for this final moment, and this is like a moment that they can all kind of end on and be like, yeah, this is maybe there are
This is the
things. This is the end, and there's maybe things. Maybe this like shows more I can do outside of being the Vanguard and being this person. But
So, Season of the Wish.
Season of the Wish.
I am thinking A? Maybe S.
I was thinking S tier. If
I was-
Splicer
I
is
was-
S tier, this
I
is S tier.
yeah,
for me.
I can see that.
I kind of want to put it at S tier as well.
Yeah, I'm good with that. It was like a great, like, I think, send off for like the seasonal model too. So
Yeah, I think it was like a good
pretty
send up for the
excited, yeah.
seasonal model. You know, it is a blending of like a decent story, but also like a lot of good like gameplay stuff, like the coil. Look really good loot. Like I like all the armor that came this season. The stuff from the dungeon. The actual seasonal guns being like worthwhile to go get. Like
Oh my
Yes.
god,
I
yeah,
liked
absolutely.
like it just kind of was all encompassing, and even with like we ended up having a much longer wait. I think it like, and there were definitely like moments where I was just kind of like, you know.
They've done such a great job, even from the March
I still
update
liked
pre-
about a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, I think they did a great job with an extended.
The
season.
actual, yeah, I like the actual stuff that was in the season.
Yeah.
Even though, like, you know, I think a lot of the actual like things we got that were, like you said, in Into Light were like things that got me like really excited about like where Destiny's going more so. But
Yeah.
I still like the season itself a lot. But yeah, there you go.
I like this tier list actually.
That's
Here's
good.
our-
I would stand by this. Yeah.
here's
I'm surprised how much we
our-
agree on most things.
Me too, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I think like again like the only one thing I would say is I would like Seraph and S, but I think everything else I pretty much am fully on board with.
I'm thinking about it. All right, I'm giving it consideration. How do you feel about that Seraph and S tier, Cam? Knowing
don't-
Splicer and
I
Wish
would
are
still
in
keep it an A, I think.
there. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm like
Like-
right in the middle.
I liked it
Okay.
quite a bit, but I would
I
still
really don't
probably
like
keep it
Heist
an A.
Battlegrounds.
That's fair.
Keep it an A
That's
then.
fair.
Yeah.
It's fair. I definitely do not enjoy them as much either. But I just like a lot of the other things that were in Seraph.
Yeah, that's fair. And like, you know, and nothing's perfect here. Like the Wishkeeper exotic mission is not.
Yeah,
the
I
best,
didn't.
but-
I didn't really enjoy that exotic mission as much as I am a garden enjoyer. That had nothing to do with garden. Okay, it's different.
it
It's
was
different.
barely
I do
garden
like.
adjacent.
I do like the actual exotic though. To be fair, like Wishkeeper
Yeah,
as an
the
exotic is really
the
great.
bow is
I like
great.
it
It's
a lot,
great,
but
yeah.
the mission itself was just kind of whatever.
Well, all right.
But yeah, I think this is good. Yeah, I'm happy with this tier list that we have put together.
Yeah,
Feel free to leave comments about what you think
Let us
down
know.
below. Let us know, good or bad. We don't care because it's our
Yeah, we
it's
don't
our
care.
tier,
I
it's our
just
tier
wanna know
list.
what
That's
Yeah,
engagement, baby.
that's engagement, baby. But yeah, thanks everybody for watching this video. This like a little bonus episode we did. I knew we probably weren't gonna be able to fit this kind of thing into our proper podcast, especially this week as we start getting blogs and stuff. So we'll talk about
Strap in for a long one, y'all.
yeah, strap in for a long one. Frankly, that episode alone might be multiple episodes.
Clear your schedule.
It's looking like if we get this whatever it's going to be in this Vidoc on top of multiple articles still to come. this week alone. So
Yeah.
that'll be what we'll talk about in the next actual episode of the Helm to Tower podcast. But for now, yeah, we're getting close to it. Final Shape is soon here.
Less than 2 weeks away.
Less than 2 weeks away. But it was fun ranking all this stuff.
Yeah, that's good.
And thanks everybody for watching this Helm to Tower video. We'll see y'all next time. Bye.
Bye.